Hey guys, what's going on? I have to keep my voice a little bit low because it is almost 1 in the morning here and my girlfriend is sleeping over in the next room. But I couldn't sleep. I was too excited, too hyped. I was trying to sleep for about 3 hours, but it didn't work. So yeah, the patch is finally released about 30 minutes before the update goes live. I was really hoping it could be a little bit earlier than that, but it wasn't. I already read through the patch note and it's honestly hard to contain my excitement because I think everything in here is very fair and I'm very excited to get back into it. But yeah, there's just some weird stuff about Google Play. It doesn't really seem that important. It's just for Korea and Russia. Of course, we'll be getting new costumes. I'm not going to focus on that too much. I do think they're really cool. Here are the girls and here are some more girls. Yeah, here are the dudes. And their animations and stuff look pretty neat. I'm probably going to get at least one of them. I have to spend like 20k more rubies anyway for Gladdy's unique weapon. But yeah, they look pretty nice. Like I said, this is the important stuff here. The changes. The ones that needed buffs didn't get huge buffs. I think a lot of them will be very viable now. So looking at Castle's basic skills, he just gets a straight buff because there was nothing in previous, so these are just added on stats. 100% damage on his third skill and accuracy reduction for 5 seconds on his fourth. That's his passive. And what's cool about that is that Castle is kind of a dodger. Reducing everyone he hits accuracy by 150 makes his dodging even more awesome. I don't really know anything about Castle's transcendent skills since I've never gotten him past 5-star, so I can't say too much about that, but Proxy of God, it doesn't seem like that need to last 40 seconds because I have a feeling, especially with the solo time changing, that whatever it is currently will be enough, and that's being changed to a 40% attack boost. I'm not too sure if 1 mana cost reduction on a critical hit is actually better than 10% cooldown, but with the mana changes coming, it might be better. Mana might be a bit harder to get. And this other one exchanges a damage increase for an accuracy reduction, so I'm not too sure. Again, he is like a dodger, so it could be very good, but I can't say too much about it. And the famous meme unique weapon just gets a straight buff, 10% more chance to inflict physical damage. Next we have Cleo getting a straight 100% damage increase on her passive skill. And it looks like most of her Transcendence perks are just leaning towards doing more damage rather than all this other weird stuff here. The Fireball Dark perk actually almost sounds exactly the same, except it'll target 1 random unit 2 times instead of 2 random units. So I'm not too sure if that makes a huge difference. It'll be more focus fire, so who knows, maybe it might be good for Arena if she has a lot of damage. It'll hit an enemy twice, meaning it might kill them if she has enough attack power. And this is a little bit strange because Flame Diffusion, it says it's her 4th skill, but I guess the Ember can actually be made on other skills as well, not just the 4th skill. So I guess that's more of a like real passive and not a 4th skill. And that's just getting a straight buff of 50% damage increase. So Cleo could definitely be a very good viable magic damage dealer now with all these damage buffs. That's definitely a possibility, and I'm going to be raising her on my little account and we'll see. Next we have the CC God Lacrack that no one likes to use because he doesn't have nice juicy personalities. Just getting a straight buff on his 1st and 2nd skill, and on his 4th skill his passive is freaking awesome. It's also getting a damage buff, but instead of knocking them back now, it'll stun for 2 seconds, and a 2-second stun is way the hell better than a knock back, because I don't think it was actually a knockdown. I think there was some kind of bug with that, but a 2-second stun on that passive, man, that's going to be amazing. Also for something like Black Dragon, I can imagine I'll see some Lacracks maybe in some Black Dragon raids or World Boss even. You can keep that bar going down and down and down and down. And then something like World Boss, he won't be able to recover because Lacrack's 4th skill procs so often if he has a high attack speed. So I think this change alone, they just need to buff his freaking looks. His Glue Bomb Light skill here is kind of the same as Cleo's. Instead of targeting 2 random enemies, it'll target 1 enemy 2 times. Again, good one-shot potential there perhaps. And Glue Bomb Dark will have its cooldown reduced by 50% if it kills the enemy. So that can definitely be kind of RNG-ish, so I'm not too sure if I'd go for that, but yeah. And then his unique weapon also just gets a straight buff. 200 attack speed increase, and this is a 300 attack speed increase. Next we have Epis, her 3rd skill, skill book. Things are getting changed into just damage, no crit chance, no recovery. And her 4th skill is getting a buff to the attack increase duration from 10 to 12 seconds, which is good. And one of her transcendent skills, if it's like the best one there, and if you don't have really another choice, because I'm not too familiar with Epis's transcendent skill tree, then she would be more for World Boss, Guild Raid, blah blah blah. Her unique weapon is getting completely changed, and it's just going to give you an attack buff that can stack up to 10 times. On a certain chance, we don't know the chance yet, but we do know the attack increase. So at 0 star, it'll be a 20% at max stacks. And you can see it go like that. She might become a really, really epic assassin. I don't really know about Miruru, to be honest, but she's getting a straight buff everywhere here. Her first skill is getting a damage increase and a 1 second cooldown reduction. Her second skill is getting a bigger damage increase by a lot and a 2 second cooldown reduction. And her fourth skill is getting just a damage buff. So just that is a pretty significant buff in my opinion. And people still are using Miruru. Like I've seen some pretty impressive Mirurus. I think the Bam Dark skill was kind of a point for her though. That might be sort of getting nerfed for some people in some strategies perhaps, although I can't say for sure. But she will get like just a guaranteed 35% attack increase for 10 seconds. So, you know, I mean, it will be a constant buff because Bam will only have a 7-second cooldown. So, you know, who knows? Could be good. And Rollover is just getting a straight buff, double cooldown reduction upon attacking. Her unique weapon is also getting buffed. Now, when you start up, you will get a bonus where it was just always 20% all throughout the star levels. Next, we have Audi. He's getting a straight buff to his second skill, which is reducing it by 6 entire seconds. That is a huge buff there. I think Time Fragments, wasn't that RNG one where there's like a 50% chance for it to auto cool down? Well, that's pretty awesome because you can have that chance a lot more often. And his third skill is getting a straight damage buff as well. One of his Transcendence perks is also getting a pretty good buff, nearly double the mana recovery. I'm not sure what though. And his unique weapon is getting completely changed as well, and I think for the better, because I actually pulled his unique weapon a few days ago and I wasn't so impressed. But this actually sounds very good. Upon using Time Distortion, reduce all allies' cooldowns additionally, and their attack is boosted for 10 seconds. So I think Time Distortion is the one that costs 5 mana, and it has a very long cooldown. Even so, I think that's way better than it was before, because we'll also get an attack buff for 10 seconds, and it's decently significant, 14% just for having his unique weapon, an attack buff to everyone, and a 2-second cooldown, so that is on top of the cut in half cooldown. So I was hearing people can have both world bosses down constantly with Audi in their team, and with the change to the unique weapon, that will make that even easier. And the much controversial Laius change, I don't know how significant it is. I've never owned a Laius, but her mana recovery is getting cut in half, so I can imagine a lot of people are upset about that perhaps. Because it does sound pretty significant, but it kind of had to be done with all the other changes to mana, I guess, because she would just be even more necessary than she is already with the mana kind of nerf. Demia's T5 perk is getting sort of a buff, sort of a nerf, less attack reduction and 5 seconds less, but then again it cannot be dispelled. So apparently it could be dispelled before, but now it can't. I think this was a way to fix the problem where Talisman of Resistance became useless because of Demia activating this immediately and kind of just swiping all the Talismans of Resistance under the table that the enemies were wearing. I don't really see how that fixes it, but I trust that it does, and I will still fear Demias in the arena. Also, another controversial one this time is Luna, and I was honestly very happy with Luna's change, honestly. So her third skill does only last for 7 seconds now, but honestly, with solo time stopping the buffs and debuffs as well, 7 seconds is usually enough time anyway, and the damage is increased by 40%. So in my opinion, if you're still taking Luna in arena, which you probably won't after this down here, but if you are, that's only a buff in my opinion. 7 seconds is plenty of time. In most cases, the match is decided in 7 seconds. And even so, it would still be 7 seconds where they have no crit rate. So again, I think that's plenty of time. Her T4 perk Pew is getting replaced with a 100% damage increase if there's one enemy. So obviously this won't work in arena anymore. But honestly, like personally, I'm really only using Luna for world boss anymore. I almost never bring her into arena anyway. And there's really no reason to now for me, but again, if you are going to bring her for that crit chance reduction, I still think it's enough, and she has more damage on it now. She just doesn't have the one-shot potential. I think she's still going to be okay, and you can choose a different T4 perk, although I think the Twinkle Twinkle Light was also on the T4 perk, so not really sure what options you would have. I would have to check that when we're back in game, but she's not destroyed, okay? She's definitely not destroyed in my opinion. They didn't change her carrots, which is her main source of damage outside of PvP, so that's fine. And they actually increased her damage on the third skill a little bit, which I think was needed because it was a very weak skill. And of course, Priscilla. I was very worried about this, but I'm honestly not worried anymore because I think Priscilla is going to be even better than she was before. First of all, her first skill was pretty crap because it didn't connect most of the time with enemies. And it says here, they fixed a bug where her hit angle was too high to give damage to the enemies. That means she will do more damage with her first skill because of bug fix. She will be getting a straight buff to her coordination. It says fixed attack value is increased by 20%. That's it. It's just getting increased by 20%. That's freaking amazing. And this is what I assumed. Her third skill is just getting a small AoE reduction. This is probably just enough so it doesn't also hit the backlines and one-shot the entire backline, which is very fair in my opinion. I'm going to play around with her in Arena because I do bring her in Arena now, and we'll see. Like, if she can take at least like maybe the mid lines still, I would be fine with that. I would be happy with that. It's not right actually that she can one-shot the entire backline sometimes, including the ones in the complete back. And so 8% doesn't sound like a lot. It should still work perfectly fine in PvE, and maybe it just won't one-shot the entire team in PvP. So I think that's very fair. She is getting a straight nerf on her fourth skill, which is a little bit sad, and it is kind of a significant debuff. Her attack increase will be decreased by 20%, but that's kind of remedied a little bit by her co-op buff. So she'll be doing a little bit less damage herself, but her co-op, when her co-op's on, which it will be all the time anyway, she will kind of get that back since that will be increased as well. It's just a fixed attack value, so it probably won't be too significant, but maybe it makes up for this here. Her defense penetration will, I guess, only be 100 now, and then a pretty small crit damage nerf here as well from 40 to 30%. Here's something I am also extremely excited about. Knights, warriors, and assassins are getting straight buffs to their stats, which is freaking amazing. I don't see any nerfs to mages or wizards or whatever. Assassins will become amazing. They will have more attack, more HP. They'll have a base of 30% crit damage and 100 accuracy, so you don't have to build accuracy on your assassins anymore, which is cool as hell. Warriors will be getting more attack. They'll have base penetration and 150 base crit rate, and knights will be able to do a little bit more damage as well. And they say the unique weapon attack power will also be increased as a result of increasing their base attack stat. So we talked about solo time already, so we're going to kind of skip through that. We did talk about mana recovery, but it goes more in detail here. Mana recovery will now be in flat numbers instead of percentages, and I think I remember seeing an old video where it was like that already, and then they changed it to percentages, and now it's back to flat numbers. And they say diminishing return reduces the efficiency of high mana recovery rates. An ancient MP attack rune that gave 60% will now give 480, so it would be like 48%, I guess, up until I guess 1200, because then at 1200 you get the diminishing returns, because then at 2400, which should be 240, it's actually only 180. And also you can see here the Black Dragon set is becoming 280 and 360 respectively, so it's not a huge deal, I think, if I'm looking at it right, but a bit of a nerf, yeah. If this means that all heroes will have a stat down there for mana recovery, and all heroes are different in a sense, like mana recovery per attack, I think that'll be awesome because it'll be a lot easier to find out what works for what hero and all that. So if it's just like a stat like crit rate or so, then I would really enjoy that, really like that. But we'll have to see. A lot of tests and stuff will have to be done, I guess, and just experience will have to be had. The spectator mode we talked about as well, I think it'll be pretty interesting. The damage per second and health per second, a small revamp where it shows the enemies in gray that are dead. Something else that's cool is that you won't get a pop-up for every like purple gear you're trying to throw in, I guess. You'll just get one at the very end. I really appreciate that little quality of life change there. The pop-up notification options, the option to go through the main story again, that's neat. What's also really cool is you can just retry on the world boss now. The Thanksgiving Day event will be coming, but I might touch on that a little bit later. Oh, here's a bug that I was a little bit concerned with. It says, fix a bug where you couldn't interrupt a skill with the same skill, interrupting an enemy skill. Yeah, I've fought in Cassandra's in Arena, and I tried popping off Cassandra's silence immediately, as did the other guy, and they kind of just like, it was weird. It kind of like skipped a frame and then went back, and then I guess neither of us did it, because I just didn't do anything, and so yeah, it was kind of weird. We got the all-in-one package coming back. I think I talked about all these events coming, the costume discount pack, the sad stamina discount leaving. Oh no, the cursed ruby flask event isn't coming. I was really looking forward to that. It says there has been a change in the cursed ruby flask, so it will not be added this maintenance. Sad beans. But that's pretty much it. It's actually 1 a.m. now. I'm gonna check. I'm actually checking right here as I am recording. It is back up, guys. So I'm gonna wrap up this recording now, go play a bit, and then go auto something while I edit this, and hope to get it up tonight because I'm too hyped to sleep anymore. Luna did get pretty messed up for PvP, but it was kind of to be expected. I think she's still viable. Like, in my opinion, she wasn't even that great for PvP to begin with. I had a lot more success with other heroes, even though I had a T4 Luna and perfect geared as well. So, I mean, just a 0-star unique weapon like all my other heroes. But besides that, I put a lot of love into her, and still, she wasn't performing that well compared to the new meta. But that's beside the point. Thanks guys, as always, for watching, and until next time. And as always, a huge thanks to my supporters over on Patreon.